Same
That's
here. Mine is on too. So are we ready to get started?
brilliant. Yes, I'm always ready. Really excited today as well to meet you guys, to walk you through some really practical steps. Because the last time around, for those of you who joined, you'll know that we spoke about a lot of high level stuff. We explored what we feel about money. But this time, we're all going to be ready with sheets and pens and paper and like get down and dirty, right? Cool. So, I mean, should we wait another couple of minutes or can we start?
Let's get started so that we end within the hour. So yes, guys, welcome to the second workshop in this Pakistan Youth Forum with Finllect series. And so we're doing 2 workshops with school students and we're doing 2 workshops with university students and young professionals. So you guys are in the student workshop cohort and Monica's already. Monica, do you want to introduce yourself briefly for the students who haven't met you before?
Yes, of course. So super happy to come back because, the team here is always super excited to do this kind of stuff, which makes us equally happy and, interested in kind of coming and helping you guys out. So just to give you a brief, I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but can you see this? Can you see what I have now? Do you see speaker notes or anything?
No.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Okay, awesome. So just to give you an introduction, my name is Monica and I'm the COO of Finllect. And this means that I run a lot of programs and workshops and I talk to a lot of young people and I help you understand the world of how to take care of yourself and how to take care of your money a little bit better. In the past, I've worked on multiple other startups that are focused on education because this is my passion, right? Figuring out how we can find alternative, interesting ways to bring different forms of education to young people. So, an important thing to note is that this session is not about me, it's about you. So I'm going to stop talking about what I've done and who I am. But towards the end, if you feel like you want to just talk to me, drop me a note, get some insights, get an internship, join a brand ambassador program, then you'll see my contact details and you can hop on to the tribe. But before we kind of move on to the new things that we have planned for today, I wanted to make sure that we had a complete session from the last time around because we were short on time and we were not able to discuss a side hustle, right? And I also think that this is a great way for us to really get to know each other. So for those of you who are here for the first time, last time we did like a lowdown or like a quick understanding of what financial wellness is, what money means to us, and how we can figure out a plan or set a system in place to really start putting in small steps, baby steps to actually improving our financial health, right? But I see that today is a good mix of young adults, school children, and people who are from different backgrounds, different schools, right? So I want to ask you if all of you, either in the chat or if you want to switch on your mic and share with me, can tell me what is the one thing that you personally feel like you're amazing at? Just one word, just one skill. And also please remember that this has to be one skill that people are willing to pay you for, right? It could be anything under the sun, right? I can dance really well, I can sing really well, I write really well. So for example, mine would be that I speak or I'm I'm good at convincing people or negotiating things, right? So that's something I think I can get paid for, right? Bushra, if you want to go ahead and try that yourself as well, I think it would be interesting for the people to get to know you a little bit better as well.
So the interesting thing is that I dropped my 9 to 5 a year after graduating. I was working in consulting and I was like, I want to figure out what my passion is. And it's actually education and I wanted to pursue it. So I decided to pick up a hustle, which was writing. Mm-hmm. So I started copywriting and that became my profession for 2 years. And honestly, it ended up paying better than my 9 to 5. So don't dismiss that side hustle.
Great. So I think this is a great example of how your side hustle can become your full-time role or your full-time job. And, you can get the flexibility of whatever you want to do whenever, right? Great. So does anybody else want to try? I don't have the visibility on the chat box. So if Bushra, you can read them out, or if somebody wants to switch on their mic and just share with us, that would be great. Oh, and by the way, we have a special for those that participate in today's session. So
I think I would like to share one of my side hustles.
Yes, go ahead, Asma.
Yeah, I remember that I was pretty good in Arabic, so I used to give Arabic tuitions around people like who didn't really weren't good in Arabic, or because it was a foreign language for them. So like I
Mhm.
used to use it at that way. And I also used to really like whatever products like used to be in trend, like fidget spinners, Scoobies, or like any
Mhm.
like the youngsters thing. I used to actually buy them and sell it at a more higher price.
Oh, cool. So you're a
Yeah.
reseller. Awesome. Okay,
Yeah, I used to
brilliant.
love doing that. Like whatever, like time to time, if I used to get bored of one thing, then I used to like catch up onto another thing, and like I used to like try to gain profit from that. So I just
Awesome.
it was
That's
pretty
great.
much useful, and I used to get like even learn so many new things myself.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else wants to share? I think Iman has raised their hand.
Yes.
Yes, go for
So
it.
it was like
Quick ones. Quick, quick,
one year
quick. Come
back.
on.
I was like into making stuff, like creative stuff. So I
Mhm.
started making keychains on my own and started selling them in my school. So that was like one of the most profitable things I've ever done.
Oh, that's super cool. So
Because
keychains made out of what?
the demand was like extremely high. Everybody wanted to get keychains made of their pictures. So they would like send pictures of their own selves or celebrities and stuff, and we would make keychains out of them. And it was extremely profitable.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Nice. Who else would like to share? Maz, I see your hand is raised. You want to go ahead and try?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So basically, my all friends love the scooters here in the UAE. So I
Okay.
went to the industrial area and bought one or two scooters for myself. And
Okay.
then the next day, after a week or so, I went and I saw their like they were not working the scooters. So I bought them, and my friend taught me how to fix it, and I will fix it, and then I would sell it to others and gain a profit.
Nice. Okay, so you're like a modifier of mechanical items, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And
But
that way you're
still,
self-taught. So that's brilliant.
yes,
Still, I'm sorry, complete your sentence.
yeah. But now I have chosen bio. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Now you're
have
fixing
chosen
human
bio.
bodies.
Yeah, I will try for that, inshallah.
Okay, great. So, see, you've understood. You have the skill of like solving problems or fixing things, or playing around with objects and figuring out how you can make it better. That's a wonderful skill, and a lot of really established companies need this, right? So Tesla, Uber, they're always looking for people,
Yeah.
problem solvers. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, we can take one more last person to share a short skill with us. Who wants to go? If anybody wants to just share it on the chat, even that's fine. Okay, no problem. Let's move ahead. So, the reason why it's important to figure this out or to identify what you are good at and how it can pay you is because this is your first step to figuring out an income that's not coming from your standard 9 to 5 job or your standard parent pocket money or stipend, right? And it's really important because this will act as your backup plan, right? So if you're able to balance and manage this right now, then you can definitely implement this as a habit as you grow older and start exploring or finding ways to solidify this habit in yourself. And of course, it makes you a great multitasker. It gives you a lot of access to new people, new resources, new opportunities. And that's, of course, something that all of you have realized from the stories that we've shared today. Cool. So today, we're specifically talking about managing your finances as a student, right? Whether it's a school student or university student, or even somebody who's gotten their first job and is still hustling and getting their master's degree at the same time. But today, we're going to focus on you as somebody who's either in school or somebody who's just started university, okay? So, what is it that is different about a student managing their finances versus an adult managing their finances? That's the first question, right? Very simply put, what happens is as an adult, it's quite ironic, but if they know how to manage their finances, then they've already built a system or like a rhythm in place. So they know what they need to do, they know what their responsibilities are, they know the basics of everything, and they know how to manage some hiccups or some challenges when they're doing this, right? But for somebody who's a student and is starting to take responsibility of their own money, it becomes a little more challenging, right? Because you're taking on new responsibilities, you're managing things that you've never handled before, even thought about, right? And because you're going to be facing new opportunities. So, for example, if we go back to what Maz or Asma or Iman were talking about, with starting a small side hustle and starting to earn their own money, right? With that extra money comes new opportunities. With that extra money comes new responsibilities. Like now you have a business. If somebody gives you an order, you need to make sure that you fulfill that order. And some of us have like passions in baking or creating or doing something that's related to crafts, or like even in Maz's case, he needs to first figure out the pieces or the parts that are needed to fix the scooter, right? That is an expense. That is your responsibility to manage with the finances that you're bringing in, or the money that you're bringing in with these new opportunities. And in addition to all of these things, if when you decide to take responsibility or start managing your own money or your own finances, there are some things that we don't count, or we just kind of ignore in our day-to-day life, right? For example, food. If you're staying with your family, food is not an essential thing, right? Rent is not an essential thing. Clothes are not an essential thing. These are things that you just get, right? Laundry. So like, the 1 or 2 dirhams that your parents are paying per cloth that gets laundered is not an essential. But when you start taking control of your finances, you start noticing these things, and you start, figuring out that this is an expense you now need to take care of. So these are the things that will affect your journey as a young student who's sort of trying to manage their own finances or start taking control of your own financial well-being. So I would highly suggest that you start um, being very observant and noticing these things and start jotting them down. It's very, very important for your system to be written down or put in place somewhere for you to start working on improving how you manage the system, right? So, as a heads up, for today, you either need access to an Excel sheet or a paper and a pen, because we're going to do a lot of thinking, writing, and jotting things down, and of course, sharing and discussing it with each other. So if you're joining in from your laptop, then keep your Excel sheet ready. If you have a notebook, then start writing things down, because this is going to be an experiential journey for you as well, and it's going to be tough. So if you have any questions, you should ask them now, because you can keep repeating these exercises on your own even later. Cool. So how do you manage these new challenges or these new frontiers that you're going to be stepping into, right? Well, very simply put, you need to start falling in love with lists. Okay. Figuring out, okay, what is my list of income sources? What is my list of expenses? And what is my plan? Like, what am I going to do with all of this money, right? So let's stop or pause here for a bit. I want everybody to take out a piece of paper and a pen, or your Excel sheet, or whatever form of note making you want to do, and take literally a minute to write down the top 3 things in each of these bubbles, right? Top 3 things that are your sources of income, top 3 things that are your expenses, and top 3 things that you have done in the past 1.5 month to manage your money, right? This could be, oh, I took a picture of a receipt, or I wrote this down in my book, or I counted my cash at the end of the month. It could be anything, anything at all. There's no wrong answers here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop talking. You have exactly 1 minute. I'm going to put this on the clock. Okay. Okay, let's go. I hope you guys are writing things down and not just staring at the screen. Okay, we're down to 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. Okay. Final 15 seconds.
Are there like extra points for longer lists?
No. I mean, if you can, that'd be great, but there's no extra points. Okay, cool. Everybody stop. All right, great. So you can put your pens down. This is a self, like an individual exercise. So there's no pressure for you to show me what you've done. But I'd love to hear, right? So can anybody share 2 sources of income? Go for it. It could be in the chat. It could be, I can now see the chat. So I can maybe even read some out.
Can I?
Yes.
So my sources
go
of
for it.
income are just like my dad and my brother, because they give me money. I don't do anything else. Yeah, I just study well, and then they think that if I'm studying very good and I'm good at studies, so they will give me money from that. And list of expenses, nothing. I just don't buy anything usually. So I just sit in here. And what's
list of expenses? Sorry, your list of expenses?
Nothing. Yeah,
nothing. You make no expenses? Are you sure?
Yeah, I think I don't buy anything quite. Yeah.
Okay, but still, it like, are you asking your parents to buy you things sometimes, or asking your brother to help you get something, or do you ever like cheat, get a McDonald's burger or something on the side? These are all expenses.
I rarely do that stuff. I rarely do this. Rarely.
Ah, okay, interesting. Okay,
I
let's
don't
have.
like to, like, waste money. And what's my plan? To buy
no, but see,
something.
there's.
Yeah.
See, it's using money is not wasting it at all, right? But mismanaging your money that's where the problem is, right? So that's
Basically,
the
I like
red
to
flag.
save a lot.
If you have, that's completely great. I mean, that's amazing. You're a super saver, right? And that's brilliant. But at no point should you think that investing money in your own, requirements or needs is a wastage of money, right?
Yeah, that's what. So my plan is basically to
Yeah,
buy
exactly.
something.
So I think you're the one who had. Yeah, what do you want to buy? Tell us, if you can.
Air Force, Nike Air Force, I guess. I would buy Nike Air Force in like after some.
What do you want to buy? Sorry.
Nike Air Force.
Oh, okay, shoes, right? The shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're shoes. Okay, great. So you're a super saver, but you have an expense coming up in your budget.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Emma. Who would like to give this a shot? One more
I
person.
would
Go
like
ahead.
to share.
Yeah, Asma, go ahead.
So basically, my sources of income is basically my mom and my brother, because like whenever I get like birthday money or Eid money, I usually save it, and then the other source of income is like my side hustles. As like any side hustle I can do, like tutoring, like one like Arabic or science or math, like as I'm good at tutoring. And then my tuition fees would like my list of expenses would be basically my like any new clothes if I want to buy recently, or any new shoes, or basically anything I need, like new AirPods, like something that is like my basic want, or it comes in between my wants and my needs. Like for example, if I broke my laptop, then I need a new laptop, so it's basically going to come in my list of expenses. And then what's the plan is to find new skills for side hustles. Like recently I've been like trying to learn how to put mehndi, so that I can use it.
Nice.
Yeah, so like I can use it as a side hustle and I can earn more money to
Yeah,
cover up
and
my
Eid
list
is
of
coming up.
expenses.
And Eid is coming up. So
Exactly.
it's like a hot time to do this.
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is my main motive, to learn more skills to use them.
Okay, brilliant. But that's pretty good. I mean, I feel like it's amazing that you guys have identified your own little journey and you've figured out what's important for you to make it work, right? So for example, Ahmed is thinking about saving. That's his plan because he has a big expense coming up. And Asma is thinking about increasing the number of sources of income, right? The only way that you can start thinking about these things is when you actually list them down. Okay, so great. For those of you who haven't gotten a chance to share this, I would have loved to hear your stories, but we need to keep moving along so that we can actually make these lists into proper action plans together. Cool. So what does it mean to really manage your finances as a student, right? What are we talking about? This essentially means that you manage your sources of income, that you manage your plan that you have set for yourself, whether it's a budget, a saving plan, or like Asma wants to increase her sources of income, whatever that plan is, you have to manage it. And of course, tracking, right? So holding yourself accountable for the steps that you take, even if you go over budget or you are, mismanaging your money, you are the only person who can hold yourself accountable. So it's extremely important for you to be honest with yourself. If you have set up a budget for the first month and you have not been able to stick with it, you need to be 110% honest with yourself and accept that, okay, this time I've gone over budget. These are the mistakes I made. That's another list you can make, your money mistakes or your money missteps. Okay. And then in the next month, try to reduce that list of money mistakes, right? Cool. So can you see my screen? Yeah, you can see it. Okay. So how do we take this list and actually start figuring out our plan in micro steps? Like, what do I do on a daily basis, right? So to understand this, we need to write down a couple of things. Number one is your paperwork. Okay. What is the meaning of paperwork? Well, basically everything that explains to you where your documentation is kept. This is your paperwork step, right? Where have you kept the Excel sheet that has your spending, history? Where have you kept your budget stored? How often are you checking this budget, or how often are you keeping track of these things, right? And most importantly, how often are you updating this paperwork, and is it in a safe place, or is it openly available for everybody to see, right? These are some of the basic things. Now, why this is important for you as a student is because as you grow older, this paperwork section becomes extremely serious, because you have to start adding your bank account details, your income history, your credit history, and all of these really important, complicated financial things in your portfolio as an individual. Because remember, these are the things, these are the habits. Hi, Abdullah. These are the things and these are the habits that help you get financial services when you become older. So you don't want to be in a position where for the past 10 years, you've been doing a side hustle, you've been budgeting, you've been taking care of your money. And now when you're 21 or 22 or 25, the bank says, no, but we don't have any history on you. We don't know what track record you have. So we can't give you this financial service. Come to us after 2 years. You should never, ever be in that position where a bank decides your fate or a financial institution decides your fate. Okay. So number one is paperwork. Now, it sounds a little boring, but it can be made fun, right? So let's say, for example, if you download the Finllect app, that becomes your paperwork, right? That becomes your backup. If you have an Excel sheet, that becomes your paperwork. If you have a note on your phone, that becomes your paperwork. But it would be my recommendation and my advice for you to make this a formal sheet or a formal application that you do on a regular basis so that you can keep track and you can give yourself a reality check of what you are doing with your finances. And for this, very unashamed, I have no shame in saying that Finllect will be the application that will help you manage your finances better and actually see in a very interesting graphical representation what you are doing with your finances. Cool. So paperwork is super clear to everybody. Are we good with that? Is it easy?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So write this down because it's going to be very important what I'm going to say next, okay? Understand what your net worth is today. Who can tell me what net worth is? What is net worth? Anybody? Somebody new wants to? Okay, Ahmed, go ahead.
I guess if we have multi-incomes and combining all that incomes will be our net worth.
Interesting. You're missing a small point there. Okay.
I think it's how much we earn per year, I guess.
Interesting. Everybody's thinking in terms of money
under your name.
Interesting. Yes.
I can see a flowchart is there, a pie, I guess. So
everything including your properties and all that stuff is called net worth.
No, but we don't have properties.
Let's say I'm in school. Yeah, I don't have including all aspects of your like non-financial and financial aspects as well. All together is like forms a net worth.
it's interesting that you guys are getting it right, but you're just moving in one direction, right? So what net worth really means is it's the net of everything, right? What is net? Net means plus and minus both included. Then what's your score, right? So your net worth is actually the amount of money that you're earning or you have minus the amount of money you actually owe people, or the money that you need to be giving out, or the money that is under your liability. So liability is anything that you need to that is a risk for you that you need to take care of, right? So for example, if today I have 50,000 dirhams, I have a car, a home, okay, that is my total net worth, this car plus home plus my 50,000, right? But if I have a loan from a bank, or if I have borrowed money from a friend which is worth uh, you know 200,000 dirhams, then that is my liability. So you can't say that I have $50,000 dirhams, car and home. You will say that my net worth is 500,000 dirhams minus, sorry, 500,000 dirhams minus all of these things. So removing your liabilities, or the money that you owe to people, or the assets that are not fully yours, is what makes your net worth, right? So it's just a matter of doing a little bit of a plus and a minus. At your stage, at your level, your net worth is an indication of income minus your expenses. That's it. That's all you have to remember, right? So if your net worth is in negatives, it means that there is a serious problem and that you need to start looking at your financial wellness or health a little more seriously. Super clear? Is everybody okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the third thing is cash flow, right? Who can tell me what cash flow is?
By judging the image, I guess the amount of money that is we are earning and the amount of money we are losing. So it is cash flow. So the cash, basically the cash comes and goes. So it's the cash flow, I guess.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Does anybody else want to try? I see a question. Yeah. Who's this? Sorry. Arisha Irfan asked us a question. Her question is, how will we actually keep track of our credit though? As in write down every time we make a purchase. So how do you keep track of this, right? So for example, if you're using the Finllect app, if you have an iOS device, you can just download the app from the App Store. What you can do is just, it's so simple, right? Instead of getting a sheet or getting, basically sitting down and writing your expenses, what you can do, one second, I'm trying to open the app. Yeah. What you can do is, in a very simple and easy to use format, you can essentially, one second, I'm just logging in. Yeah. So if you have downloaded the app, all you need to do is go here to check in and just add your transaction. That's it. Tell them what is the type of transaction you're making, tell them the amount, and just say add, and that's it, right? So similarly, you can make easy budgets on the application, and then automatically, depending on what expenses you've made, it just gets discounted. If you want to do this process yourself, it's super easy to do on an Excel sheet as well. Just write, on this date, I made this purchase, this was the amount, and this was the type of transaction. Like this is, I paid for food, or I paid for transport, or I paid for, buying something or shopping, right? This is how you start by keeping track of these things in real time. Once you do that, that's when, if you're using Finllect, then we do the credit scoring calculation for you. If you're going to go to a bank, then the bank is going to do the credit scoring calculation for you. You don't have to calculate the credit. You have to make sure that you manage your finances well, so that whoever is calculating this credit score for you is giving you a score that you actually deserve, so that you can use the score to get the financial products you want for yourself. Okay, super clear. Arisha, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, miss.
Okay, brilliant. So coming back to cash flow. Now, why was it important for me to address this question at this point? Well, simply because cash flow is exactly what I said right now, right? So what is your income? What money did your father give you or your brother give you? they gave you 50 dirhams. Okay, from this 50 dirhams, you put 35 dirhams in your savings, and the rest you used to go meet a friend by taking the RTA, or the rest you used to buy an ice cream on your walk to meeting your friend. This is cash flow, right? Figuring out or jotting down what money has come in and what money has gotten out on a regular basis. So you can set your own regular targets. Ideally, you should go for a monthly budget or a monthly cash flow, documentation. But if you want to do weekly to just get a habit, you can do that. If you want to do 2 weeks, you can do that. But try to be a little more regular with this, because this practice is what will make or break your financial wellness. Okay, cool. Let's move ahead. Okay, we spoke extensively about financial goals and setting them last time, right? But we never really got the chance to sit down and write down our financial goals and discuss it with this closed group. So today I want you to take a good 2 whole minutes to figure out what your goals are. Okay, and I've put down a couple of questions here for you to answer. Try to keep this as super brief for now, and then later deep dive into each of these questions and map it to your answers. So for example, I'll do this exercise myself and it'll give you a hint, right? What is really important to you? For me, education and creating impact is really important. Okay, what type of work do you really enjoy doing? I enjoy giving classes, teaching people, building things. Okay, where do you want to live in 3 years? I want to be in Dubai. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I want to be either in India or a European country. Where do you want to be in 10 years? I want to be settled in a city that is lively and is very active, like New York, Mumbai, Karachi. 20 years, I want to be well settled and happy and living in the mountains or in the hills and having no stress with respect to my finances, right? The same thing needs now to be mapped with what I want to do financially in the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years, right? So in the next 3 years, I want to be getting 2 promotions at the job that I'm doing right now, or I want my startup to be the best startup for young people, so that I can get, the returns of that, of running a business that is successful. In the next 5 years, because I want to be in Europe or in a different city, then I want to be able to manage my move and my shift. In 10 years, because I want to live in a city and be a little more settled, I want to have a solid savings plan, 2 properties or 3 or 4 investments that make me secure. And in 20 years, I want to be completely financially independent, which means I don't want to have a job or a single source of income for me to survive and live my dreams. So this is how I will do my goals, because I'm slightly older to you. My priorities are different. I want you to do this exercise right now. Please either write this down or put it on a sheet, because at the end of it, I'd like you to send a screenshot or a picture of this to Bushra so that she can send it to me, or you can just send it to me yourself, and then we can figure out a way to help you get there. But for now, just please take 2 minutes and write this down. I'm going to give you 2 minutes exactly, okay?
So Monica, I actually had a question as they do this activity, because usually when I approach a goal setting activity, I can feel very anxious, like, oh, wow, I've not thought about this. And like, I'm going to define a goal and I'm going to have to stick to it. So what about these goals? Are these goals like something you have to stick to forever, or do they change?
So it's very interesting, right? Your financial goals are a representation or like an image of what you want today, what you want now. And these are the kind of goals that will constantly be changing, except for your long-term goals, right? So when I say that at 20 years from now, I want to be financially independent, that to me is 100% sure target. But that's also because I'm already 24 years old, right? For somebody who's in school or who's just joining university, their 20-year target is not going to be very clear. But it's going to give them a gist of what they really want from life and how they can map that to what their financial behavior should look like today. So that's the whole aim of this activity right now.
Great. Yeah, that's what I think it should be too.
Okay, we have 1 more minute. Okay, cool. Time's up. Does anybody want to share anything? Because this is a very personal goal that you're setting for yourself. But if you want to share, I'd love to hear.
So question one was what really is important to you?
Mm-hmm.
What is really important to you? So the thing that are important to me were that still are education, friends, and families. They are really important to me at this age.
Mm-hmm.
What type of work do you really enjoy doing? I really enjoy doing drawings and stuff, sketching stuff. I'm really good at that also. And the other thing I really like in my life that is planning a plan which can help me to do good and better in life. For example, if I'm
Okay.
struggling in study, so I will just plan a full method that at this particular time I will study this, I will study that, so it can make my life easier. And the third question was, what do you want to where do you want to live in 3, 5, 10, and 20 years? So in 3 years, I would be living in Dubai and studying in university. In 5 years, I will be still studying in university, and after 10 years, I will be probably in some working in any sort of field. And after 20 years, I would be maybe in Pakistan or Europe country and doing some stuff. I don't know. Yeah. And
Okay.
after that time was
Awesome.
after that time was okay.
Okay, you didn't get to the really important question. But see, Emma, you're on the right track. Please make sure that you put down your financial goals as of what you feel today and as of what your priorities are today. So that, and if you want to share that with us, we would love to figure out a way to help you get to that goal. Maybe give you a plan, give you some ideas to start today instead of waiting until you're 2025 to really start your journey. Okay, brilliant. Does anybody else want to share? Just super quickly, does anybody else want to share?
Yes, me.
Yes,
So
go ahead.
first question, what's really important to you is that I want to pursue dentistry, and
Nice.
what type of work do you really enjoy? My hobbies are mainly painting, writing, arts, etc. But I'm just pursuing dentistry because it has been a dream of mine. But I would like to do these as side hustles and maybe start them that way. And where do you want to live in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? In 3 years and 5 years, I want to be in UAE, in university for my BDS course and still pursuing it. In 10 years, I want to have my own clinic, um, and maybe travel and just explore new things. And in 20 years, even though it's like not very clear to me, but all I want is to be somewhere where I'm happy, somewhere I can call home. And where do you want to be financially? In 3 years, I'm not very sure because in university, just thinking about finances isn't like something I'm really sure of right now. Uh, but the end goal is just the by the by the by 20 years, I just want to be financially independent, not dependent on anybody. Hopefully, having my own clinic, but not also being extremely dependent on it. Or maybe even if I do want to leave, just investing in other businesses so that I can earn even without having any problem. Yeah, that. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. So first of all, I think you guys are super mature, and I think your some of your answers are really interesting because everybody, like Ayman says, is wants to be happy and in a place that they feel at home and wants to be financially independent so that they don't have the stress of leaving that place or having to struggle until the last day of their life, right? So yes, thank you for that. Also, I think one important thing for everybody to just really remember always is that you do not need to be earning money to know how to manage it. Okay, this is a great example for us to look around. There are so many women who are not given the credit for the wonderful financial planning that they do. Maybe they're homemakers and they're supporting at home, but they are brilliant at managing money, right? So for example, my mom has never been a housewife, but she is really good at managing finances, right? Her sister has been a homemaker or a housewife, and she's brilliant at making really good decisions with money. So if you are if you think that you need to be earning money to start thinking about managing it, that is one thing that you need to tell yourself, right? Today, even as a university student, and I mean, this is for you to really rethink and prioritize your financial wellness. If you are not earning money, you're still using it, right? You're still consuming resources that are related to money. So you must know You must have the awareness of how much you're using and where is that going. And that is what helps you become better, even become a pro when you actually start earning your own money. So these are like your baby steps, trial and error phases that you can take advantage of. So university days, money should totally be something that you think about taking control of. Okay, cool.
Yeah, ma'am. Can I say something?
Yes. Yeah, Haris, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. According to me, study is important, but skills and experience are also more important than that. Because, like, I think that wasting 5 years or 3 years on a university or in the courses, just we can get some skills and what job is in the market. Like the demanding job is like engineering or something. So I can do some short courses or diploma according to that job, and I can get that job instead of wasting 5 years or 4 years course in the university. So
So I
that
think, Haris,
from
your
that job I
opinion.
can get skill and experience, so I will be more skillful. So I can write that I have gained 1 year experience in this work. So it will be more easy for me to get the job because I will be experienced, right? So like if after studying 5 years in university we didn't get any experience or we didn't work anywhere, so it will be hard for us to get job.
Right. So I think it's we shouldn't be thinking about it as wasting years. I think that's a little strong. I think it's investing your years in education, right? Everybody has different priorities in life. Some people want to gain experience and start from a different place. Some people need guidance and support, and they need the validation of a degree to get that job. And we have to be super extremely practical, especially when we're thinking about managing our own money. Practicality is the number one skill that we need to have, right? We cannot expect to be accepted as somebody who doesn't have a degree or a qualification at any job anywhere in the world, right? It gives you a sense of security. And that's also what we're trying to do with our money, right? We can't just expect people to accept us, or banks to accept us, or give us a financial service because we say we want it, right? We have to give them some proof or some validation that we are worthy of what we are requesting or what we are desiring, right? So yes, Haris, I mean, your opinion, you are entitled to your opinion, and that is something that you need to decide for yourself. But calling the pursuing of a degree as a waste of time is not something that I necessarily agree with. So maybe you need to rethink that. Maybe you need to revisit. Maybe you need different exposure. You need to talk to different people who've had good experiences at university, who've really, really, grown and gotten a lot of skills from university, so that you can make a better, more balanced decision in your life. But having said that, everybody has their own priorities. And if this is your priority, it matches what you want from life, it matches what you think, then you should pursue it. But you should also be very, very well aware of the risks and the challenges that you will face if you do this. Okay, cool. We went into education for a bit, but let's come back. Okay, so how do you take all of these financial goals and make them come alive, right? Something you can do on your own is by starting with just prioritizing your expenditure. So the last time around, for those of you who were not there, we spoke about budgets, and we spoke about 50-30-20, we spoke about 80-20, and all of these strategies. But one thing that's super key for these strategies to actually work is being able to understand what is a want and what is a need. And this comes from practicing. And how do you practice? You prioritize. So now that you've built a list of income and expenses, what I want you to do is revisit your expense list and just prioritize, right? Just understand, out of all of these 3 or 4 things that you've listed down, what are your actual priorities, right? So your education is a priority, or for Haris, his gaining of experience or getting to work or getting to do these things is a priority, right? Are you spending on things that are a priority? Most often than not, for people who've never managed their finances, it's always that we spend on things that are not a priority for us. So take a quick minute to figure out what your priorities are from the list of expenses that you've written down. Super quick minute. Okay, cool. Time's up. So, unfortunately, we don't have the time to listen to your answers, but I hope that you've at least have number one, number two, and number three on your priority list sorted out, right? Again, if you need extra support in figuring this out for yourself and you want to discuss this one-on-one, please know that my doors are always open. You can drop me a note and we can discuss it, and we can find you a priority that works well and an expenditure or an expense list that actually is an image of what you want from life. Okay, cool. So moving on, how can you be smart? I don't know if you guys know, but there's this interesting word called jugaad, yeah, which is something that the Westerners have stolen from us Desi people. It basically means doing something frugal, right? Doing something that's very simple, that's very efficient and effective, and also being able to do it in a very easy to implement manner. Like, it shouldn't take time for you to do jugaad. Jugaad, the reason why it's been given, it's been created is so that we can do things fast and then use these hacks to actually build our systems, right? So how can you be smart with your money? Well, if you're in the UAE, anywhere in the UAE, there are so many discounts that you are automatically qualified for because you're a student, right? Your Emirates ID or your student identity card can get you a lot of discounts. Go to the RTA, give them your student ID and your Emirates ID, and they'll give you a discount, right? So if everybody else is paying 5 dirhams for a trip, you're paying only 3 dirhams. And I think that's great. In addition to that, depending on your age, depending on which part of the city you're in, depending on what kind of products you're using, you get more and more discounts, right? So please, please, please be aware. If your school has a counselor or has a teacher that you love and you find very easy to speak to, go represent your class or your friends and ask them, is there something that you have gotten as a discount that we can use on the side, right? In addition to this, as students, we get a lot of perks, right? School gives us access to tools, school gives us access to now Teams and all these virtual things. You don't just have to limit yourself to using it for what the school has said. You can go to the next level and start exploring these tools and start using them to do your own projects and basically learning all these really difficult skills and getting access to these tools for absolutely free. So these are some jugaad ways for you to reduce the amount of money you're spending in actually just doing things that you already have a discount for, right? So just make yourself more aware. Talk to the friends who know all the discounts. So I used to have this really fun friend in university who had like a list of discounts for every month. He was the guy who knew which restaurant to go to, what restaurants had Zomato Pro or Zomato Gold, and it was always a good meal or a good experience with a very, very low budget when I was spending time with him. You need to figure out a way to do the same thing for yourself. Surround yourself with people who know these things and are frugal, or become that person. Cool. The second tip is love pre-owned stuff. This means secondhand stuff is the god of all things, right? So books, devices, like if you want a new phone and if your mom has an extra phone or your dad has an extra phone lying around, I would suggest you take that extra phone instead of getting a new one, right? If it works well. Books, big one, right? If you can find a book for free online, or if you can find a book that somebody else is just giving away or donating, that's something you should definitely do. Don't chase new things, especially with stuff that can be shared or can be kind of given to each other. This is a great sustainable approach as well. If you have books and if you pass it on to somebody who can use it for free, then you should also be able to get someone to give those books to you for free, right? This is how you save money on school expenses. Another thing is going to stores that have really good offers on clothes and shoes, so brands for less, or using smaller local shops or small businesses instead of the big malls and big food courts and these expensive restaurants, right? This is the way that you save on your shopping and food bills. So use these interesting tips to kind of incorporate into your life. Another great way to save on your expenses is telling your parents the tips and tricks that the electricity and the water authorities have set up for us, right? So anytime that you spend on, or like any electrical items that are being used from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., the amount of charges that you receive is almost 1.5 times the amount of charges that you face otherwise. So if you want to charge devices, or you want to watch something or binge watch something, do it in the night, because that's when the expenses are low, right? So figure out these interesting hacks and share it with your family and friends, so that you can start saving on things that are absolute necessities without having to compromise on the quality or of the thing, or of your lifestyle or your desire. Okay, and the last thing is share the load. I know it's COVID time and it's difficult to go out with a lot of people, but if you're doing an activity, or if you're doing something that maybe at school, or a trip or something, try to share the load. Try to get more and more people in your group, so that when you split the bill, it becomes a smaller amount instead of having a bigger chunk, right? So if you can do an activity that's online, virtual, a training, you want to do a certification or a course, tell 6 or 7 other people, get them to pitch in as well, and share that load with each other. You can share this load not just with your friends, but with your family, with your teachers, with anybody, right? Because everybody is trying to save money and get access to resources at a very cost efficient or effective way. So these are just some of the things you can try. I want to take 2 minutes to hear your jugaad ideas, or your things you have done in the past that have helped you save money in a very frugal and smart way. Does anybody want to share?
I would want to
Like,
share one thing.
Go ahead.
Basically, like whenever, obviously you said about like whenever you go out with friends, like expenses are there when you like order food, and like you go in the malls, food court, there's like expensive food and stuff. So basically we had this in Dubai, there's Choco Monarch, and every Sunday we have like student discounts that like basically like over there you get dishes for like 30 dirham, 35 dirhams, each dish 45 dirhams up to. And like for students, only on Sundays, if you show your student RTA card, you get like each dish for only 12 dirhams.
Wow, that's brilliant. Everybody
Yeah,
please head to Choco Monaco these days.
yeah.
Great.
So like yeah, so basically like, whenever we would want to go, and they have amazing food, many ideas, many different dishes, amazing.
Yeah.
And like I'm a chocolate lover, so basically me and my friends, whenever we get the opportunity, we go over there every Sunday and we enjoy.
This is great. So maybe
Yeah,
maybe we should partner with Choco Monarch and get them on board, because they're doing so much good
sure.
for
It's a
students,
lovely
right?
idea.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to them. Cool. Anybody else wants to quickly share one more? One more idea?
yeah, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, Harris, go for it.
As compared to the other institutions, like if I want to do some courses or something, so they will charge us money. But in the online or in the Google, we can just there are many websites for the free learning, or from where we can get certificates, many certificates. Even in the Google also we can get certificates. So I have tried many of them, and I have got many certificates from them, and it will be helping me for getting the job. And in the CV, my CV will be more attractive to that person. So that are
Yeah,
free courses which I have done, and they are valuable
that's
because they are having
that's
signs, and it is from the Google.
even IBM, Google, IBM, all of these companies have these courses which are so cool, like artificial intelligence, and they're super fun to do. And if you do it as a student, it's even better, because that shows that you're really interested in learning. But thank you, Harris. I think, Harris, if you can share that list with everybody, so that others can also start exploring it on their own, or just tell them how to find it, that would be great.
Ma'am, Google provides it. In the
Okay.
Google, we can just type Google studies, like that. Something is there. So if we type, so the Google is offering us the list of the courses which we want to do.
Okay,
So
that's
like
cool.
there is courses like AI, artificial intelligence, or IT, or business management. Like this courses are there. So it's like 30 days course. So if we'll do, so we'll get the certificate from the Google.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, even IBM, I'll see if I can share the link with you, Bushra. I'll see if I can do that. But you guys just have to set up an account with IBM, and you can download courses, do it, and kind of get the certification from IBM, which is really cool. But thanks, Harris. That's a great jugaad way to continue learning, and not pay for certifications. Cool. So before we kind of wrap up for today, I wanted to tell you something that's extremely important for you to start building as a habit, right? It's called the emergency fund, right? Now, what this means is that basically, if today I am going to university in my university bus, and then I'm using a laptop that gives me access to 5 tools, and I have one phone so I can contact my friends, and I have 3 books that I can study. If everything, all hell breaks loose, and I lose every source of my income, I should be able to sustain this lifestyle of mine, maybe at a little lower, a little stressful situation, but not too much, for the next 6 months. So for the next 6 months, if, for example, if today I lose my job or my source of income, or my father stops giving me money because I did something wrong, or whatever it is, right? Then I should have enough savings or enough backup resources for me to continue doing this same lifestyle for the next 6 months, which means I don't have to sell anything. I don't have to go hungry. I don't have to sell my books, or give them away. Basically, yeah, exactly. You don't have to struggle. This is what an emergency fund does for you, right? Believe me, a lot of adults forget about this because they're living paycheck to paycheck. They lose track of how much money they owe people, how much money credit cards are being spent through credit cards, and they start to uh, take emergency funds as a joke, and then they lose their job, and then it gets really, really ugly, right? I saw this firsthand because my company, because of COVID, went through a major process of letting go people. A lot of our families have seen family members or parents who've lost jobs. So the only people that can actually survive such a financial uncertainty is the other people who have an emergency fund, right? The longer your emergency fund is for, so you can do 3 month, 6 month, 8 month emergency funds, the longer you'll be able to survive. Now, it's not just about surviving without struggling, right? It's also about having the ability to make a choice, right? For example, if today I don't have an emergency fund and I'm desperate, I don't have a job, I'm going to take anything that somebody gives to me, whether it's good for me, bad for me, it fits my lifestyle, doesn't fit my lifestyle. If that pay that they're providing to me is actually something I deserve or not, it makes me lose the ability to make a choice or a decision for myself, right? But if I have a good emergency fund, if I have a backup, then I have 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months to really think about what I want and make a decision that is good for me in the long term, right? So, the concept of an emergency fund is to teach you the value of having financial independence. Because in those 6 months, you have no source of income, but you're still able to survive. That is financial independence. But because it's an emergency fund, it's not something that will last you forever, and it will run out at some point. If you're able to make an emergency fund that is forever and you don't have to ever earn a single penny to live the life that you like, then that is when you know that you're truly financially independent. Okay, and that is the goal of life. The goal of life is not to earn more and more and more and more money. It's about being able to survive with the resources that you have without having any financial, emotional, health stress, right? And we're all here to learn how to get to that stage of our life. Cool. Everybody's super clear. Have you understood how important an emergency fund is?
Yes, that's
Definitely, yes.
Okay, awesome, great. So with that, I just want to remind you, if you want to become a part of the Finlect tribe, and if you want to join us in becoming the leaders of your own communities or your school groups or your own families, friends, whatever it is, for the young people around you, then drop us a note, join the tribe. I think there's a link that Bushra will share with you guys. It's just a quick form where you can tell me your name, your email ID, and I'll reach out to you and set up a quick call, and we can discuss how you can join the tribe and start supporting the cause. But until then, if you have any questions and if you've shared your financial plans with Bushra, financial goals with Bushra, we can help you set up a structure and a plan in place to really start getting to those goals. And of course, please download the Finlect app so that you can start tracking your expenses in a super easy way today. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me or Bushra, and we'd be happy to support you. Cool. That's it. That's it for today.
Thanks, Monica. So before we close, we have a couple of things to look at. So first of all, I have shared the links for the attendance form for you guys to get your certificate, and also for the Finllect form, so you can get in touch with Monica. And I will iterate that it's such a privilege to have this opportunity to like connect with someone like Monica, who has worked in, you know, in the finance sector for so long and is setting up is involved in a startup. So for you to have direct access to a mentor like that is a real privilege. So use it wisely and get in touch with her. I will include her contact details in the follow-up email. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Monica. I know you said you had a long day, but I couldn't tell at all from the way you delivered this workshop. It was incredible. I enjoyed it so much. I'm sure the students did too. Can we see a thumbs up for Monica, please, or claps? Reactions. Thank you, guys. Yes. And then lastly,
guys, thank you for coming.
You guys as students are such a wonderful group, so interactive and from so many different schools. I love to see this kind of engagement coming in. Honestly, it's the reason we keep on going. So in the attendance form, I also asked you guys what kind of workshops you might want to see in the future about this topic. So I hope you filled out that question wisely with topics that we can cover in the future. Now, before we end, just one last thing, we have to pick 2 winners to get a book that will be delivered to them. We're thinking of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad for Teens book, which is a classic when it comes to financial wellness and money management for teens. So Monica, I have 2 people in mind. Do you have someone in mind?
Yes, I do too. I think both of our 2 people are going to be the same people, but
Okay,
I would
wait.
for.
Let me just check on chat.
Oh, sorry, I already said my name. Oh, okay. Aman and Ahmad. Okay, I was also thinking, oh, okay, Asma has already won with us before. All right, so then definitely Aman and Ahmad. Ayman and Ahmad. I think yes, for sure. They've shared their stories. They were honest, and I also want to say, also want to just mention Haris. Thank you for sharing your opinion. I think even if we have certain, opinions or things about things that we see around ourselves, only when we talk about it and discuss it with people who've gone through that process do we really get access to understanding what that experience means. So thank you for really telling us what you felt or what you thought about the education system. It was really nice to hear from you.
Yes, there were many of you who were very interactive. Saharis won with us last time. Thank you again for coming back. And yes, for sharing. Like, I loved hearing your perspectives, and there was so much like wonderful information shared that you guys can learn from each other. So thank you all. Asma, you were always very interactive and engaged, but she won with us for cybersecurity. So at this point, she owes me a dessert. So I'm kidding.
It's okay.
But thank you always for joining us. I guess you can conclude for today, and hopefully we'll be back with more workshops soon for students. All right. Take care, everyone. And see you guys next time.
Okay. Bye, guys. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
No worries, Emma. Thanks for coming.